What's good, you guys? You know who it is, man. It's your boy, Mr. Relentless Lex, and I'm back like I never left this mother. Yes, Sirski. All right, man, we got Maya Angelou. They said Maya Angelou tried to warn us about Oprah. Bro, that's crazy. But we're going to get straight into it. Spicy.
When Maya was here on Earth, she taught me so much. And for my 50th birthday, she wrote a poem called Continue.
Oprah Winfrey has been looking up to Maya Angelou for the longest time. In fact, in April last year, the media mogul penned a tender tribute to the late memoirist and poet with a post on Instagram, describing their decades-long friendship and the life lessons Angelou has taught her. In her post, which featured a warm image of the two female pioneers smiling alongside each other, Winfrey described what it was like to grow up memorizing Angelou's poems before later hearing essential knowledge straight from the source herself. Maya would have been 95 today, and I would be throwing her a big party, as I did every 5th year since she turned 60, Winfrey's caption began. I grew up reading her insightful books and memorizing her poems. When I finally got to meet her in my late 20s, she made me a meal and read me Paul Laurence Dunbar's poetry. From that point on, I sat at her table and listened to her words of wisdom for years, Winfrey continued. Winfrey then went on to share the pearls of wisdom that left a lasting impression on her, including quotes such as, "When people tell you who they are, believe them the first time. When you know better, you do better. When you learn, teach. When you get, give." Winfrey also reflected on how Angelou's counsel has remained a beacon of light even in the years since her death in 2014. "I value those gifts to me even more now that she's gone," Winfrey wrote towards the end of her post. "But more importantly, I still feel her everywhere. In the stillness, in conversations, in sunrises and sunsets. Her spirit abides with me, greeting me as she always did, 'Hello, you darling girl.'" Angelou, who died at the age of 86, became world-renowned for her poetry and books, many of which addressed racism, Black culture, travel, and identity, including her autobiography, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. In 2014, soon after Angelou's death, Winfrey wrote an essay about their relationship and described the author as the person she learned more from than anyone else. Her greatest lesson, besides her gems of insight and inspiration, is the way she has approached aging with such acceptance and assurance, Winfrey wrote at the time. Several years ago, when I asked her what it was like to turn 80, she said, "Baby, the 80s are hot. You want to try and make it there if you can." Throughout their friendship that spanned almost 4 decades, the media mogul looked up to Angelou first as a writer and then as a friend and mentor. In 2018, Oprah recalled how reading Maya Angelou's I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings taught her to value her own experience as an African-American woman. "My heroes and heroines were in books, Maya Angelou and Alice Walker, and people who I never imagined that I would grow up and actually come to know. My heroes were in the strength of women whose lives I related to. I remember the very first time I read Maya Angelou's I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. I was in high school, and on the first page is an Easter piece. It begins, 'What you looking at me for? Didn't come to stay, only came to say, Happy Easter Day.' Now I grew up with the church and doing Easter pieces where there wasn't even a full book, but they'd just tear out little pieces and give to you to memorize. And that became my staple for developing self-esteem, standing up, orating in front of people. When I read that book by Maya Angelou for the first time, I couldn't imagine that the world valued a Black woman's story enough that it could actually be out in black and white, in print, on pages, and called a book. Because I'd never read about anybody that was like me. So the real feminism for me was about strength of character, believing that you were worthy, that I was worthy, and deserved what everyone else deserved because I was female and Black, that I had a right to that. I think prior to reading Maya Angelou's Caged Bird Sings, I always thought there was a hierarchy, and that the hierarchy started with white men, and then white women, and then I would fall somewhere in there. However, there are now claims that despite being mentored by her, Oprah never actually learned anything from Maya. For starters, Maya Angelou once said that it requires courage to remain consistent in one's virtues.
Say courage is the most important of all the virtues, because without courage, you can't practice any other virtue consistently.
Facts.
Can't be consistently fair, kind, or true, or honest, or generous. None of those.
Well, Oprah might have missed this lesson because she is nothing if not inconsistent with her self-portrayal of a philanthropist. Oprah has been a vocal advocate for women's rights and has used her platform to speak up on issues that affect women. She has been an outspoken critic of SL harassment and has supported the Me Too movement, which has given women a platform to share their stories and seek justice. Her advocacy has encouraged women to speak up and demand their rights, even in the face of adversity. diversity. Additionally, Oprah has always been a champion of women, and she has used her wealth and influence to empower others. She has donated millions of dollars to various causes, including education, healthcare, and women's rights. She has also launched several initiatives to empower women, including the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls in South Africa, which provides education and leadership training to underprivileged girls. However, when it comes to supporting Black female actors, that's where Oprah draws the line. You see, Taraji P. Henson recently revealed that she almost walked out of Oprah-produced film, The Color Purple, for being underpaid. The drama unfolded during a press tour where Henson, embodying the character of Shug Avery in the much-anticipated film, laid bare the harsh truths of her Hollywood journey. The revelation that sent shockwaves through Tinseltown came when she made a teary-eyed appearance on Gayle King's Sirius XM show. "It seems every time I do something and I break another glass ceiling, when it comes time to renegotiate, I'm at the bottom again. I'm tired," she said through tears, adding that to add insult to injury, 50% of her salary goes to taxes and 30% goes to her team. In a candid moment, Henson bared her frustrations, challenging the industry's complacency.
Bro, I see why she's talking about the money issue, bro. 50% of her taxes, 30% of her team. That means she only have 20% left. Wow.
"I've been getting paid and I've been fighting tooth and nail every project to get that same freaking quote. And it's a slap in the face when people go, 'Oh girl, you work all the time. You always working.' Well, god damn it, I have to. It's not because I wish I could do 2 movies a year and that's that. I have to work because the math ain't mathing. And I have bills," she vents with some tears. "Listen, I've been doing this for 2 decades and sometimes I get tired of fighting because I know what I do is bigger than me. I know that the legacy I leave will affect somebody coming up behind me. My prayer is that I don't want these Black girls to have the same fights that me and Viola Davis, Octavia Spencer, we out here thugging it out," Henson said.
From Color Purple. Yes, ma'am. Who said what? Yes, ma'am.
Color Purple director Blitz Bazawule added fuel to the fire by supporting Henson's claims of injustice. According to Bazawule, the casting process for the film, despite featuring award-winning actors and Broadway veterans, demanded auditions. "Knowing how hard they fought to not have you all here and knowing how hard we had to fight to ensure that," he said, looking at Henson and Color Purple actor Danielle Brooks. "The fact that each one of you, every single one of you, had to audition for this role, roles that were second nature for you, roles that no one should even question." At a recent career retrospective hosted by the SAG-AFTRA Foundation, Henson expanded her thoughts and revealed that the pay issue nearly led to her not starring in The Color Purple. "I'm really tired of Black women having the same story," she said.
Every time you achieve something really incredible, it's almost like the industry looks at it as a fluke. Like, oh, that was like some one-time thing. And you gotta negotiate and fight tooth and nail to get what you made the last time. Where's my raise? I haven't seen a raise in my income since Proud Mary.
She then went on to speak about how her activism will benefit the female Black actors that come after her.
Because you know what? If I don't take a stand, how am I making it easy for Fantasia and Danielle and Hallie and Felicia? Then why am I doing this?
The controversy went further when TikTok users began nitpicking 2 videos from a press event to promote The Color Purple. While analyzing the 2 women's body language, TikTokers became convinced Henson and Winfrey did not get along, and that the Shug Avery actress looked gloomy and uncomfortable around her producer.
See how she looked at Taraji and quickly looks away. And I look at Taraji, look at her legs. She locks it away from Oprah, looking up, fluttering her eyes, trying to hold back tears.
This TikToker also questioned why Henson was the only actress Winfrey didn't touch.
Oprah is all closed up. She's not even trying to open up and was closing in on Oprah. Oprah pulls out, trying to find an escape, goes right behind Danielle Brooks. I look at Taraji's face. She's just like not having it.
Another Black actress she has blackballed is Monique. Monique's comments came in May 2017 during an appearance at the Apollo Theater in Los Angeles. Several years after she won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress for her role in 2009 movie Precious. After that win, Monique claimed she felt the entertainment industry had given her a raw deal, including passing her up on jobs, and that Daniels, who directed Precious, later told her that she'd been blackballed after she refused to campaign for the movie during parts of the 2010 award season. She did that because she felt she was not being fairly treated by being asked to promote the show overseas without being compensated. She told The Hollywood Reporter in 2015.
And that's when he said, "Mama, you've been blackballed." And I said, "Well, why have I been blackballed?" And he said, "Because you didn't play the game." He was never able to answer that question.
In the 2017 Apollo Theater performance, Monique also accused Oprah and Tyler Perry of having a role in the blackballing. She told the audience in an expletive-ridden monologue, "I was not blackballed. I was whiteballed. Thank you, Mr. Lee Daniels. Thank you, Mr. Tyler Perry. Thank you, Miss Oprah Winfrey." Now you would think this is the only time that Oprah has let down Monique, but shockingly, the answer is no. In 2009, when Precious was released, Monique and Oprah were close friends, with a large part of their bond being that both were SA'd by family members growing up. However, it was Oprah's encounter with that family member that turned their friendship sour. Oprah called Monique to ask her to be on the show, telling her that her brother, the one that Monique accused of SA, contacted Oprah and wanted to be on the show. She was reaching out to Monique to see how she felt about it, telling her that she wouldn't have the brother on the show without Monique's approval. Monique gave her blessing for her brother to be on Oprah's show, but made it clear that she wanted no part of it. However, when Monique's brother appeared on the Oprah show, he was accompanied by both of their parents. Oprah never said that her parents were coming, just the brother. That made Monique angry because she felt Oprah had gone behind her back and booked her mother too, knowing that the two had not spoken to each other in quite some time. Because of their appearance on the Oprah show, Monique blames Oprah, at least in part, for causing even more damage to her relationship with her family. Now, if Winfrey's mentor would have heard of all this, her response might have sounded a lot like this.
Try to live your life in a way that you will not regret years of useless virtue and inertia and timidity.
In any case, when Maya's pearls of wisdom aren't conveniently brushed aside, it seems copycat mode. I'm talking serious imitation here, like she's taking notes on Maya's life story. For context, Maya once spoke about how she was AB'd at a young age.
I was 7.5. I was the was let out of jail and was found dead that night.
Following this, Angelou refused to speak for 5 years. She believed that her voice had directly led to the man's death, saying, "My mother and her family tried to woo me away from mutism, but they didn't know what I knew, that my voice was a K-machine." Angelou told Smithsonian Magazine that she credited this time for spurring her love for language. "I believe that my brain reconstructed itself during those years. I believe that the areas in the brain which provide and promote physical speech had nothing to do. And so I've been able to develop a memory quite unusual, which has allowed me to learn languages, really quite a few." While she did not speak, she immersed herself in the words of literary greats like Shakespeare, Webb Du Bois, and Edgar Allan Poe, and memorized all the poetry she could find, including the works of Langston Hughes and Paul Laurence Dunbar. Now, Oprah has also previously revealed that she went through a similar ordeal. In 2021, she broke down in tears as she recounted the trauma, saying, "At 9 and 10 and 11 and 12 years old, I was AB'd by my 19-year-old cousin. I didn't know what it was. I certainly wasn't aware of the word. I had no idea what intimacy was. I had no idea where babies came from. I didn't even know what was happening to me," Page 6 reported. Now, this is a sad revelation, and nobody deserves to go through such a painful ordeal. However, there have been rumors on the grapevine suggesting that Oprah's story was fabricated. You see, Kitty Kelly, the celebrity biographer who spilled secrets on Oprah among other celebrities, unearthed the talk show host's secrets, including one that claimed she was never AB'd. Kelly revealed that relatives doubt Oprah's admission that she was continually AB'd between the ages of 9 and 14. Kelly quotes Winfrey's cousin Catherine Esther saying, "No one in the family believes her stories, but now that she's so rich and powerful, everyone is afraid to contradict her." In any case, Maya's spirit was unbreakable, and it is possible that her life experiences paved the way for her to become the woman and mentor she was to many. For context, Maya Angelou was born Marguerite Annie Johnson in St. Louis, Missouri on April 4, 1928, according to Britannica. Her mother, Vivian Baxter, a beautiful and sophisticated St. Louis native, fell in love with Bailey Johnson, Angelou's father, in 1924, shortly after he returned from serving in the Navy. When Angelou was still a baby, her parents moved west, hoping to escape the racism of the South and Vivian's disapproving family. However, in California, their marriage quickly turned rocky, and they separated when Angelou was 3. She and her 5-year-old brother, Bailey, were sent to live with her paternal grandmother, Annie Henderson, in Stamps, Arkansas. "They put me and my brother on a train without any companionship, without any adult, put tags on our arms and said, 'This child should be delivered to Miss Annie Henderson in Stamps, Ark,'" Angelou recalled. At first, she thought that they had done a terrible thing to herself and her brother, but later in her life, Angelou said she would, "Thank God, I was sent to my paternal grandmother grandmother. Annie Henderson, with her other son, Angelou's Uncle Willie, owned and operated the local general store. She was a sharp businesswoman and a loving grandmother. Angelou greatly admired her grandmother, saying, "She gave me so many gifts, including confidence that I was loved." Stamps, Arkansas, proved to be a relatively safe haven for the early years of Angelou's life. When Angelou was 14 and her brother Bailey was 16, her grandmother decided he had reached a dangerous age for a black boy in the segregated South, according to The Guardian. She decided it was time to send them both back to live with their mother, who had since moved to Oakland, California. In 1942, Angelou began attending the California Labor School in San Francisco, where she studied acting and dance on a scholarship, per biography. To earn extra money while studying, she decided she wanted to work as a cable car conductor because she loved the uniforms. The Market Street Railway Company initially refused to hire her because of the color of her skin, but she was determined. She showed up to the company every morning and sat there reading books until management finally relented and offered her the job. At just 16 years old, she became San Francisco's first female African-American cable car conductor. Also that year, she became pregnant after getting intimate to prove she wasn't a lesbian. Upon telling her mother about the pregnancy, Angelou later recounted, "She asked me, 'Do you love the boy?' I said no. 'Does he love you?' I said no. 'Well, there's no point in ruining 3 lives. We're going to have us a baby.'" Angelou gave birth to her only son, Guy Johnson, just 1 month after her high school graduation. With a new baby to care for, Angelou moved out of her mother's house at just 17 years old. She found a room for rent in San Francisco, where the landlady agreed to babysit her son while she worked odd jobs to support them. In her autobiography, Angelou recalled some of the jobs she held in that time, including a shake dancer in nightclubs, fry cook in hamburger joints, dinner cook in a Creole restaurant, and once had a job in a mechanic's shop, taking the paint off cars with my hands. In her late teens, she began a relationship with an older man named LD, who was married and had a gambling problem. After losing over $5,000, he convinced Angelou to work in a brothel to make enough extra money to pay back his gambling debt. Believing they would get married once they had enough cash, Angelou agreed, and for a short time, she worked as a S worker and madam. While Angelou was performing in clubs around California, she met many influential artists and writers, including Langston Hughes and novelist John Oliver Killens. In 1959, Killens suggested she should move to New York permanently and come find out if you really are a writer. Angelou, who later described herself as young enough and silly enough to take him up on his offer, moved to New York City and began publishing her first pieces of writing. Angelou joined the Harlem Writers Guild, where she befriended many other important writers of the time, including James Baldwin, who she would affectionately call her brother friend per Timeline. Baldwin, along with editor Robert Loomis, would go on to encourage Angelou to write an autobiography. Although she was reluctant at first, she eventually decided to try her hand at memoir writing, and the result was her acclaimed 1969 autobiography, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, according to Poetry Foundation. It was also in New York where Angelou became actively engaged with the civil rights movement. After hearing Martin Luther King Jr. speak in Harlem, Angelou began immersing herself in the fight for racial equality, using her remarkable writing talents to raise funds for the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. Angelou, with actors Godfrey MacArthur Cambridge and Hugh Hurd, wrote and co-produced A Cabaret for Freedom. The show raised so much money that Angelou was appointed the new director of SCLC's New York office, where she worked closely with King to organize and raise funds. Although she was living in Ghana during King's historic March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom in 1963, she still participated, marching outside the American Embassy in Accra in solidarity. While Maya Angelou might be best known as a poet and influential memoirist, she was also had a groundbreaking career in film and TV. She wrote the screenplay and soundtrack for the drama Georgia in 1972, and became the first African-American woman to have a screenplay produced. Shortly after, she became one of the first African-American women to join the Directors Guild of America. Maya Angelou once remarked in an interview, "I see myself as a very interested person. I've never been bored in my life." With all she accomplished in her lifetime, it's impossible to see how she could have found time to be bored. Regardless of the troubles she'd faced in her life, Angelou remained impressively productive, writing 7 autobiographies and publishing the final volume in 2013 at the age of 85. In addition to teaching and writing, Angelou remained politically and socially active, campaigning for Hillary Clinton in the 2008 Democratic primary and Barack Obama in the general election. In 2010, Angelou donated her personal papers and memorabilia to the New York Public Library's Schomburg Center for Research in Black Culture in Harlem, saying, "I have always wanted my papers to be at the Schomburg. It's a magnificent depository of all the information about the African American experience. I am grateful that it exists so that all the children, Black and white, Asian, Spanish-speaking, Native Americans, and Aleutian, can know there is a place where they can go and find the truth of the people's history." Angelou died on May 28, 2014, but her legacy continues to inspire others through her impressive body of work. Anyway, that's it for this video.
Man, that was deep. We all know it's Black History Month right now. So that was a great video that I found about Maya Angelou. Even though Oprah is nothing like Maya Angelou, we already know that about Oprah. You guys been following my videos, you've been seeing the videos and the information that allegedly, that have been coming out about Oprah. There's been some things that made us look at Oprah different. Of course, myself, that made me look at Oprah a total different way. To say Maya Angelou was her mentor, that's crazy. The way Oprah turned out to be, bro. But it's crazy how her own family members and the lady, I forgot the lady name in the video, that says Oprah was never essayed, bro. Say she made up the whole situation. And that people are afraid to say anything to contradict her because she's powerful now and she's rich. Why would you want to make up something like that, though? It's crazy. It's crazy, man. But, man, thank God for people like Maya Angelou, man. Hopefully you guys have a wonderful Sunday. Make sure you're liking the video and subscribing to the channel, man. We're on the road to 100,000 subs. Make sure you're subscribing. More videos on the way. Keeping it spicy. You dig?